I took water to a different place now. So here we have the aspect of water on the physical plane. So it's a necessity on the physical plane for our physical body survival.
Mm-hmm.
But the coolest part about water that it connects all four planes of existence, meaning physical, mental, emotional, and spiritual. So, and everything really begins with two things with water. Water is spirit, period.
Mm-hmm.
And so when you take these two components, what you cannot live without spirit and you cannot live without water. And so this is the foundation of absolutely everything, and everything begins from that.
And so what would the impact on my life be if I'm doing that? I'm applying, I'm doing two things in my head. I'm thinking about how I would interview you. So I'm trying to figure out what questions would come to mind that a viewer would want to hear the answer of. So,
Well, the impact on your life, everyone is going to have a different impact. It depends on your journey. It depends on your path. So what is the biggest impact on your life is going to be immediately physically, you're going to be 100% more intentional and focused throughout the day.
okay.
So this is the first biggest impact. The second, you're going to begin seeing things, your awareness will be expanding on a daily basis. So you will begin seeing more and more opportunities available to you that you have not seen before. And that means you'll be able to, well, you have a choice either to take up these opportunities or not. But if you do not see these opportunities, you don't have a choice.
Right.
So you will, so you will see opportunities all the time, daily. You will begin making changes in your life on your habitual level, on simple things, on things that you wouldn't even know that they were affecting your life to begin with.
Mm-hmm.
Because most of the times people think that potential is like there's something that they have to unleash in the future, or they have this dream, this thing. What they do not see is that it's immediate at your fingertips at this very moment right now. So if you do not take this opportunity at this very moment right now, well, you will continue recreating the life of your past. So this, when we talk about opportunity, we call opportunity a gate. And when you start understanding how to see the gate, you start understanding how you exit this gate and you immediately on the next plane. And the moment you're on the next plane, you completely begin a new journey in life that you would not have been able to do before. And it's constant. Uh, and the most amazing thing right now is that I'm giving it words.
I love it.
And the reason I am able to give it words because I live it every day.
I love that. Well, and I can definitely feel like that you're very passionate about what you teach. And I think that's really a cool thing. Because I think
Well,
sometimes
it's
people
it's
feel like
simplicity.
by rote, right? Like they just go, oh, I do this like X, Y, Z.
Well, it's not really just an XYZ. It really, there is a formula. And the formula is the same for everyone. So it does not change whoever you are, whether you are a human being or a dog, it's still the same formula. Of course, the dog does not have a choice to do anything different with this formula while we have that choice. But other than that, the formula is exactly the same. And then understanding that there are variables for each person that you plug in into formula, and then you know exactly how to make the formula work for you precisely. When I'm talking about the formula, it's very simple. You have a brain, I have a brain. The brain is designed to operate in a certain way. Our brain, I mean, even if it's not, I'm not talking about thinking. I'm talking about physical plane operation. The brain is designed to do 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
Right.
And then the heart is designed to do 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And it's the same for you and me and anyone else.
Right.
Okay. And then we have our individual variables that your heart has to accommodate you personally, and my heart has to accommodate me personally.
Mm-hmm.
So once we understand exactly what you are as a person, then we plug that in onto your formula, and then we'll start seeing why your heart is having an issue, for example. I mean, I'm not saying your heart has an issue. I'm just saying in general.
Has a thing.
Right. Because people
well, it's kind of a past thing, but it's still got a thing because of the past thing. So yeah, it's funny that you chose that.
So, but I'm not talking about physical things. I'm talking about mental, that you cannot see.
Mm-hmm.
But what you can see is that you cannot see and that you can see that do exactly the same things. So this is why as above, so below, they are exactly the same. So the spiritual heart and the human heart do exactly, like it's parallel. And I cannot prove yet exactly that if you fix the spiritual heart, your human heart will get better. But I know.
I'm chuckling here because I'm actually doing the ultimate or 1 habit for ultimate health and wellness. So I'm doing a collaborative book with Steve Sambliss. So we have every kind of thing in there, you know, because it could be financial health, it could be spiritual, physical, emotional, whatever. And it's so interesting that you're saying this to me, because what I wrote about was my mind body connection. So my habit is that my brain, I talk to my heart because I had a heart incident 6 years ago. So like I do every day, like talk to it and about what it's doing. And you know, so like, it's so funny that you're saying that, because it's like, I just wrote about this exact thing, but it's what I did when I had COVID too. I knew what those cells look like in my body. And I literally commanded my cells, my healthy cells in my body, to go find the ones that look like this. I visualized them and I said, kill them. Like, you know, I hate to use the word commanded, but I was like saying, this is what we're doing, right? Very intentionally together, we're doing this. So like, it's interesting to me. That's like, what you're talking about is like literally what I wrote about. And I know you didn't know that,
the truth is the truth.
Mm-hmm.
You can't make it up.
Right.
So we can arrive to truth by experiment, by intuition, by some other. I mean, you cannot avoid that. All roads lead to Rome, so you can't avoid it. The only thing is the length and time of the path. So if we do not know the path, we don't know what the truth is, we don't know what to look for, then it's a long, windy road and it's very difficult. But having a formula and a map, it's very easy to know this is where I am, this is where I'm going, and this is how I'm going to do that. So it's like very quick, and then you can put the rest of the energy into other endeavors that you want to create, instead of spending all this energy on, you know, living, surviving, whatever.
Right. Exactly. I love that.
So the coolest part is that it's so simple. Everything obviously is practice, and you doing what you're doing, what you said, like talking to yourself and doing that is the practice.
Yes.
Okay. And would do this practice too. The difference probably between what you do and what we do is that you kind of intuitively connecting, and I have a method. So you know every day exactly what you need to talk about. So it's not just in general, but you know, today it's going to be this, and tomorrow it's going to be this, and tomorrow it's going to be this. And you know this from today for the rest of your life, every day. How cool is that?
Yeah.
And the next part about it is that you don't just talk, but you also, every time you say there are some specific things that you ask. So there are questions, and then you answer those questions. That's you go in into how you're supposed to answer that. So the question is just prompting you where to go. But how you're going to answer that is your own exploratory journey. And that's already a process. But we do this process in the morning. So in the morning when you wake up, you probably do your process in the morning too, because that's the clearing. It's clearing and cleansing, and then envisioning. So you build your day for the day. All of this is done with water. So it's water meditation and prayer, and the whole process is water. And then throughout the day, you drink water. So each time your lips touch the bottle, you're back in the morning.
Oh, I love that. The whole way, like,
Does it make sense?
all stitched
So you're
together.
back in the morning. I mean, you do not need to go through the whole process. Maybe in the morning, the process can take you 10 minutes, 15 minutes, an hour, 2 hours, however you need to take. But during the day, it's a second. But the moment you touch that bottle, it's you're back in and you're on track and you're on track and you're on track and you're on track. Then so you don't just, okay, I meditated and I did this, and then I forgot everything about it because I have emails, I have TV show, I have this, I have a client, I have that client, I have to run to the store, I have to like blah. And I don't remember who I am anymore. And it doesn't matter how much time you spent in the morning doing your practice. So these practices were good 2000 years ago. They were good 50 years ago, even 10 years ago. They were still okay. But it's no longer the case because the humanity have never been so over crazed
Yes.
as it is right now. So it's extremely difficult to stay in the zone and to stay focused and intentional and remember. But the fact that every time, like the water will bring you back to you.
I love that. So basically what the process that you teach is connecting the mental process that you teach to the water itself on all the planes, right?
Yes. But that's also because we do the blue. I don't know if you read about the iMaster plan on my website.
I'm trying to
Well,
think what parts I read.
well, if you there was a little piece about iMaster plan, and then you could click the link and go like read more about that.
I'll write it down so I go do it. Go ahead.
But a master plan becomes it's your curriculum. So what that means is for example, take an oak tree and an apple tree, two trees, but their blueprint is an entirely different blueprint because the blueprint of the oak tree was to grow acorns and to become this way, and the blueprint of an apple tree is an entirely different blueprint. So the elements of the blueprint are the same. We're all made of the same stuff.
Right.
So what makes the two things different is the arrangement of these, we call them qualities, the arrangement of qualities, or we'll say your spiritual DNA is, so the each gene, let's say, or quality is the same for everyone, but the arrangement of the genes is different for everyone. And not only the arrangement of the genes is different for everyone, but each gene is developed to its own level. So we may be like, right today, I'm on success. And I just moved in. This is my first morning on success. I just moved into the new, we call it blueprint. So the whole thing is called I Master Plan. And then I Master Plan is your plan, the arrangement of these qualities throughout your life. But we cannot comprehend the whole life. We can only take small chunks. So we live in time space. So even though our master plan is already full within us, it's programmed, we cannot take all of that in. So we develop it in space and time. So this is why it's broken down into pieces. And each piece we call a blueprint, or we call it a rung sometimes. So there are like, you complete one rung, and then there is the next rung, and then there is the next rung. So it's not overwhelming. Mm-hmm. So the total number of these genes, qualities, is 50.
15?
50. And the arrangement, so you can imagine in how many different ways you can arrange 50.
I'm not a good mather, but I was like, that's
it's a lot. It's infinite number of combinations. So the way it goes, when we do the blueprint, you choose 12 out of 50. And your soul already knows what it is that you need to choose now. Consciously, you're not really aware of it. You're aware of it to some degree, but you're not thinking this way, because the way we think in terms of what do we see in our environment and what we want in terms of our environment. What we do not see, for example, like if you see this, you think, I want tea. So you know what that means. But what that actually is, tea is an embodiment of specific qualities. Okay, now you're not thinking about, oh, what I really want is I want love and kindness, whatever is in it. You're not thinking in those terms. You're just thinking, I want that, or I want money, or I want house, or I want relationship. But all of the things are manifestation of these qualities in form. So we see them in form. So, but the way this happens is when we start understanding the qualities, and it's very simple, because when we do the blueprint, you know exactly right away, I want this and I want that. You know that. So this is why I said the customer's journey begins with this piece of awareness, because when I'll ask you the questions, you'll know immediately, oh, I want this. And when you say, I want this, it really, what that means is, I don't have enough of this. It doesn't mean you don't have that. You already have it. Because if you didn't have it, you wouldn't be alive. None of these all these qualities are essential qualities, which means no creation is made without it. Okay. So you're already made of these qualities, but you feel like, oh, I need more of this right now. Mm-hmm. And that is your potential. So that's what the true potential is. What that means is that quality within you at a certain level, and there is potential immediately available for you to grow that to a higher level up. And your soul wants that. But the way the soul shows us to us is shows us to us in life. Oh, you don't have enough of this, or like you can experience it the aspects in your life that you feel really good about. So you develop these qualities to a level that feels good. And then there are aspects in your life that makes you a little, I can't believe this. I could have done this a little bit better, or I can't believe this jerk is doing this to me. So the universe, I'm not even going, it's not really the entire universe. It really is related to you personally, because no one else is experiencing your life the way you do.
Right.
So it's very personal.
Word bubble.
So that means it's your soul showing you your life in a certain way.
Mm-hmm.
So this is like deciphering it, kind of like getting underneath it, and then you start seeing it in qualities. And then it's really, really simple to start. All you have to do is shift the perception a little bit. And instead of seeing life as like general things, you start seeing if this person is communicating to me at this point this way, and I am on the quality of success, how can I see it through the eyes of success? Why am I judging this person as he is a total loser? What am I saying? So you start immediately your judgments, your false beliefs, it's your misidentifications, they jump at you. You know what they are right away.
Interesting.
So with this blueprint, you choose these 12 qualities out of 50 that you immediately need right now. So we're not going into 10 years from now. Well, you know how as coaches, I mean, I coached my whole life and I've done what everyone's been doing. So visualize your best life in 5 years. What would it look like? Now you couldn't visualize C19. So C19 completely twisted your life around into a different direction altogether. And this kind of thing can happen at any moment. So it's really difficult to kind of have this kind of vision plan that we really don't have control over. But the thing about this is that your blueprint does not change. It stays no matter what is going on in your life. So no matter what event you're going through, you're on track at all times. It's so empowering, I can't even tell you, because nothing gets in your way. Nothing.
Just makes me chuckle a little bit, makes me think about how I always say, people, a pet peeve of mine is when people say, well, I didn't have any choice or I had no choice. I'm like, that is like the least true thing anyone can possibly actually say. You have a choice every second of every moment of every day. What are you talking about? You're going to have a million more in a minute from now. You're never, if you make a bad choice, you're going to have 10 more to make. I'm like, that's why I always hashtag make good choices. It's like that you have a choice. You get to make a choice. Good, bad.
Yes. Well, the thing about the choices, when we think about choices, we think of the choices in terms of an action. But action is already an effect. And truth is, very few people actually have choices to take an action. So a lot of the times we may think that we have a choice, but we really don't, because there is underneath stuff that's controlling those choice. And that's these qualities. This is why I'm saying, like, it's just so mind-blowing that
But you still have the choice to work with somebody like you and identify those.
yes,
That is still a
100%.
choice.
This is
Yeah, so
exactly
you can
so.
remain in
Well,
ignorance, or you can go and work with somebody like you and figure out how to change your choices, right?
That you call choice, I call that now a gate.
Mm-hmm.
And the gate is an opportunity, and it's located. It actually is a map, and the gate is right here. So these are all the different things we're going through in life, but there is only one place where the gate is, and I'll explain that later. But when you exit the gate, you're on a different, you're completely on a different path. But this gate thing is taking you out of the gate is located in desire. So the only way to exit the gate and do the right choice is if you follow the desire of your soul and not the desire of your ego.
Right.
Which is very hard because no one ever taught us the difference between the desire of the soul and the desire of the ego.
Right.
So,
yeah, correct. And everything we're assailed with every day, I think, plays to yielding to the desire of the ego, not the soul.
correct.
Unfortunately.
So every single, even, people think I'm making a good choice, I'm doing a good thing. No one wants to make a mistake. Everyone wants to do good things. So, but if you don't understand the desire of the soul and the desire of the ego, then how do you know if you made the right choice?
Right.
Because this is where you start. I mean, I'm sure you coached a lot of people, and I'm sure people came to you and they cry and they say, I did all the good things in life. Why don't good things happen to me?
Mm-hmm.
And then you see all these assholes doing like, you don't know what, and just more good things keep coming their way. Like, how is that fair?
Right. Yeah, or at least that's their perception of it oftentimes, is why are they getting this and I'm doing all the right things? And but I'm sure it comes down to the very thing that you said is you got to go through the right gate, right? You got to be in the right gate to get to the right things for you, right?
Well,
And
this is what
the other thing is I'm always like, that's somebody else's journey anyway. I mean, they can look like an asshole and be doing those things over there, but the reality is, you're perceiving what they're doing over there as it's success to them, and they may not even be happy. It may look one way, but they may not be happy.
Well,
Also.
everyone is not 100% happy and 100% unhappy. Everyone is a combination of both.
Mm-hmm.
So the part that we are unhappy about is the part where our potential lies. And that's what we have to take to a higher level. And so the blueprint allows you to know what your blueprint is and what are the keys to the gate that you will now recognize the gate and understand how to exit. Now, from the personal experience, I can say that I lived my life just like you did and everyone else without exiting the gate for for 50 years almost. And it's a process. And I do not exit my gate all the time.
Mm-hmm.
But even though I do not exit my gate all the time, sometimes I'll pass through. But I know that I passed through. So I know this is my time. I'm going back into my reflection and I do my process and I work it through and I process what happened. And of course, I mean, it's like a sport. I was coaching figure skating. You try your best, you go, you do double axel, you made a mistake, you fall down, you get up, you think, you process what you did wrong, you try double axel again, and then you keep trying it again, you keep falling, and eventually you're standing up.
Right. Exactly.
And so that's exactly the same thing. But the thing, if you are not knowing this, what are the chances that you're going to make it deal right? So, and this is where it begins. Some people are more intuitively connected, so they're doing a little bit better. It's still not 100% because you don't have a formula. It's just an intuition. And even in still responding to the desire, you're still not just responding to the desire of the soul, because the desire of the soul and the desire of the ego are completely different things. So the desire of the soul is the desire to grow in consciousness in the particular quality and for the soul to grow and evolve. Now, the desire of the ego is to fulfill whatever is going on the earth plane. See?
Right. Yes.
So once we start actually seeing that the ego is created as an instrument for the soul to grow, and the purpose of our being here is evolution of the soul.
Interesting. Love that.
This is why Jesus was saying, seek the kingdom of heaven, everything else will be added on to you.
Mm-hmm.
Because so the difference, if you start kind of seeing it, then imagine you are here today and you are thinking a certain way. And imagine that, like, let's say in 5 days from now, you have evolved your soul to a different level. Now, your body and your mind is an expression of your soul at this level. So there is two of you. There is the soul, or you can also call it my true self.
Mm-hmm.
And the true self is the soul and potential. It's the true essence of who you are. And then there is an expression of that. So the expression of it is the ego. So the ego, so we live as the expression, which is like a suit, right? And it's showing up and it believes that this is what it is.
Mm-hmm.
But the suit is a protector for that core. And that core is a divine being that wants to grow. And so once we start seeing it in that way, then all of a sudden they get married. And now the express self is operating as like a protector, a father, that is allowing this child to grow to grow and expand.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, and then every time it grows, your express self expresses that. The core self grows to a higher level, your express self is expressing that. Next, express self is expressing that. So your mind evolves along the way. And so we're not trying to change the mind changes automatically in this process. But at the higher level you go, your thinking begins changing and operating on a different level. And so you start operating at the higher and higher levels of consciousness. And so since you're now thinking differently, you're feeling differently, you're wanting different things, you're taking actions differently, and you're creating different results in life.
Right. Yeah.
And all you have to do is drink your water. The first, and of course there is a lot about it, and as we go along, like we'll teach the mind will teach the course of their interaction, how they connect, where these exit points are, how, and then understanding the role of the heart and the role of the mind.
Mm-hmm.
So people don't, today everyone is obsessed about the mindset, and this is the key. But the mind is a connector. All it does, it connects points. That's it. Doesn't do anything else. It just goes 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. If you give it 7 points, it will connect them. And then the mind, because it's the connector, the mind is the connector, not just between these 7 points. These 7 points are located at 3 different levels. And the levels are your past self, which is yesterday, your present self right now, and the future.
Mm-hmm.
So this is why the mind is responsible. In our eyes, we see how the mind is allowing us to create the future. Okay, so in the mind is constantly scanning. It's scanning some past, it's scanning where you are, it has very difficult time standing in the present, and then it gets lost in the dreams, because the future hasn't happened yet, so it has to be daydreaming, the visualization of this future. So because it's not yet, there is no definite points of connection there. And so the mind is just in that state. So the purpose of the heart, if you think about the heart is kind of responsible for our emotional being, for our feelings. Can you feel things yesterday? You can't. Can you feel things tomorrow? You can't. You can only feel things now. That's it. So the heart is always in the present moment, and the mind is running around.
I love it. I never thought about it that way, but that's interesting. I love it. The mind is always wandering. Oh, that's interesting.
Does it make sense?
Yeah, absolutely. I didn't really ever think about them. I get kind of hung up on the whole it's not I hate, that's too strong a word. I kind of dislike the word mindset myself. I think because I'm somehow mentally opposed to the word set in it. It has nothing to do with like how people think. I just don't think that having your mind set on a specific thing is conducive to bringing about the things you want in your life.
Well, because it evolves. There is an
Right,
evolving
exactly.
aspect
It's
to it.
fluid. That's
Yes,
for me, it's fluid.
yes.
That's why I don't really like the word mindset. I
But
know,
everything is in constant movement.
right. I know Natalie Forrest
Yes.
always talks about mind flex, and I'm more happy with that word, because that means that it's moving and changing as you move and change, and is more it's more mind fluid than mind mindset, I guess. Yeah, it just makes more sense to me, I guess, mentally. I don't
But
like the
I don't even use the mindset. I just use we call it mind well.
oh, I like that too. Mind will, huh? Love that. It's even better.
So we call that mind well because it's just and the mind well is such a perfect representation because it explains why people stuck in the patterns, because
Right.
it's continuously it's a mind well, so it just keeps repeating itself over and over and over again. So the key here is in this mind well. So now you can see the mind well. You see the mind well. So now you see that this is a mind well. Okay. Now I know this is like a really teeny picture right here. This is also a mind well, but there is not one mind well, but two. So you can see there is inside and outside. So the two mind wells, we call them core mind well or inner mind well and outer mind well. So you could say probably the psychologist would say unconscious mind or the core mind well is not so much, it's not unconscious, it's super conscious. That's the difference. It's super conscious, not unconscious. The mind well is unconscious, because why it's unconscious, the mind well is not all unconscious, it's partially conscious and partially unconscious, because each of these points are touching on conscious and unconscious parts. And you can see that there is half is blue and half is red. So the blue is what you do not see, and the red is actually what you see. But it also correlates, the blue and the red also corresponds with the heart, because the heart is two parts, the blue part of the heart and the red part of the heart. And the function of it is exactly the same. Every day that I'm stepping to this next, with my blueprint, when I said you choose 12 out of 50, each day you only practice one. Okay, so once you choose 12, you are no longer focused on the 11, you're on one. And when you're on one, I'm on one for about 5 days. So we started in the beginning when I didn't know, we suggested people to be on one for 7 days because it takes time to process. Now we have a little bit more defined process, and you see this is the mind wheel, as I said, but then you see this rhombus. You see the square.
Yep.
Well, it's actually two squares, the one the rainbow color and the outside.
Mm-hmm.
So the rainbow color is your core self, is the true self that we were talking about. So in the same sense, you can also think of the core self as, if you imagine a mountain and there is lava inside of it, and you can see it, and it's like inside, you can see it. But once the volcano erupts and the lava comes out, right, and then it becomes ossified and it becomes the mountain. So the mountain is manifested core self. So it becomes embodied.
Yeah, that's so fast. I love that example. That's so cool.
So the rhombus part and the bigger one is the express self, which is already the mountain. You see, the mountain
That's
cannot
actually what most people see. Other
exactly
people.
right. You see the mountain, you do not see what's inside the mountain, but the mountain has more potential inside.
Mm-hmm.
So that is standing as a mountain cannot change anymore. Now think about this. Everyone is obsessed about what they can see. But what you can see is already created and it cannot change. Why are we putting, not only we're giving it so much attention, but it also, in a sense, we're allowing it to manipulate our lives and how we feel about it. And that's where we get stuck. So the whole purpose of that is to understand, yes, I'm standing here on the ground. That's it. It's done. It's made. It gives me the platform. That's all it is. It is not something that is supposed to be controlling us. It's only giving us a feedback.
Right, right.
This is how much you have manifested. And there is more potential. Let's focus on that.